Welcome to Unshakeable Belief, the podcast for anyone ready to break free from burnout, reclaim their health, and rise into the life they were meant to live. I'm Monica Connolly, your host. I am an international best-selling author, a trauma-informed coach, and a speaker. I know what it feels like to carry the weight of the world while slowly losing yourself in the process because I've been there. Through chronic illness, identity loss, and survival mode, I had to rebuild from the inside out. This show is where real transformation begins through raw conversations, expert insights, and mindset shifting solo episodes. You'll get the tools, stories, and support to reset your body, rewire your thoughts, and step boldly into your next chapter. You are not here by accident, and your story is far from over. Let's begin. Welcome back to Unshakable Belief. Today's guest is not only an incredible leader and a woman of resilience, but also a dear friend, Dana Hildebrand. Dana's story is powerful. She's walked through challenges that could have broken her, but instead, she chose to rise. And now she pours into others with
Mhm.
wisdom, grace, and purpose. I've seen firsthand the way she shows up in life and leadership. And I know this conversation is going to leave you inspired and equipped with practical tools that you can use right away. Let's dive in. Dana, thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. You
Yes.
know that I adore you and absolutely was so excited to be spending time with you today.
Oh, thank you, Monica, for having me. And I feel the same way. You're one of my favorite people. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I know parts of your journey personally, but for
Mhm.
those people listening, can you share a season that brought you to your knees and what helped you find the strength to rise again?
Yes. No, thank you for asking. Yeah. So my story, you've heard my story. My story is that I was sexually abused by my father, and that was a truth that my mother hid when I was growing up. So that's the beginning. That was through my adolescence and younger years, and then um, if we fast forward to when you speak about what was the thing that broke you, when I was 26 years old, I was in a very unhealthy, abusive marriage with I had a 12-week-old baby at the time, and in that moment, I decided that, this marriage was not gonna work. I had just begged and requested to do counseling, do whatever we needed to do to try to make it work, and there was no participation, from my partner at that time, my husband. So, I had to make one of the hardest decisions of my life, and that was to step away and to leave the marriage, and so I did. And Rachel was my first baby, and so I was still postpartum, right? And so I had to make that humbling decision to move back home, actually, to have support, and that really wasn't a very healthy place for me to go, but I didn't have another place. And in that space is where the emotional stress and the trauma that had all been stored from my marriage and from my sexual abuse ended up just percolating to the top.
Yeah.
And there was just a moment when I absolutely crashed. And it was literally what I describe it as just a nervous breakdown, just um, the anxiety, what was more profound than like depression or anything. It was just like, I'm sure you've heard of the book, The Body Keeps Score. And so that's what was happening to me. Like I couldn't hide and wear the mask anymore. Like my body was like, this is going to need to come out and you're going to have to feel it and experience it in order to move through it. And so that did happen. And I ended up being in the hospital for like 2 weeks and was really just at the end of myself. And I was just like, I don't think I'm ever going to get well. I lost copious amounts of weight. I couldn't work. I couldn't drive. I couldn't see. My vision had been impaired. And literally, when I did leave the hospital, I was walking with a cane if you can believe that. I don't think I've ever told you that because I was so weak and so fragile. But in that hospital room, after about 2 weeks, as you know, I had a friend that continued to come see me every night and would try to feed me, get me to eat, and would read the Bible to me. And I would just lay in the fetal position in my bed, and I usually wouldn't eat, and I would just listen. And then on one particularly terrible night, I was, because I was constantly nauseated and vomiting and, just it was terrible. And so I was going to like walking to the restroom with my IV and everything because I was going to be sick and my friend was there and I was sick. And then in that moment, he said, he said, you have to get well because God still has a plan and a purpose for you. And in that moment, I just felt like Jesus called my name out of darkness. And I was like, what? You mean in all this brokenness and all this trauma and all this family of origin mess, there's still hope for me? Like, he still has a plan and a purpose? And so that was a huge turning point for me. I just felt like, okay, I don't know how I'm gonna do this yet, but I had hope. That is the biggest
Right.
thing. I had hope. And that is so powerful. And, do you want me to fast forward to who my friend is, or do you wanna wait? Anyway.
Well, I love that you said that because I feel like that was really kind of when you've described this to me, that
Yeah,
was your aha moment.
yeah,
That you could go from what you felt as being broken and that there was still something out there for you. There was still something for you to build or something for you to do. There was still
yeah,
purpose for you, even though
mhm.
you thought you were too broken for that.
Yes, yes, and so my friend just extracted that from me, like, you always have to have hope, especially if you're a believer, you always have to have hope. It's not over, this is not the end of the story. It's part of your story, but it's not the end, and God can use it for good, but we gotta go through. And so I just had that mindset, and eventually, in a couple of weeks, I got out of the hospital, and then I just started daily just doing whatever I could, whether it was just, trying to take care of my baby or trying to go to the grocery store and buy grocery. I mean, like, I was so fragile. And, day by day, step by step, I started to put things back together with God. Mhm,
Well, and I love that your friend stuck around through this whole
mhm.
process.
Oh, yeah.
And I would love if you're comfortable sharing what that relationship looks like now.
Yes. No, I'm just so thrilled you asked. It's my favorite part of the story. So, anyway, when I did get out of the hospital, my friend stayed by my side and helped me so much, helped me recover, held space for me to feel, to heal, and to relax. Gave me a beautifully safe place just to simply heal, honestly, and, helped me take care of my new baby, and, so with that being said, my friend, I ended up marrying. Now, I don't recommend it was a very quick relationship. It was like, we were ready to get married in, like, 3 months after I got out of the hospital, but we're like, "Oh, we should wait," so we waited till 6 months. And so anyway, we waited, and then we did get married, and, we've been married for 27 years, and he's just the love of my life, and, it goes like that when you're with the
Right.
person that God truly has for you, and, just another fun part of that is that he ended up adopting, Rachel from my first marriage
Yeah.
because my husband prior didn't. He forfeited his rights and whatnot, and that's a whole thing, but God had a plan, and so my
Yeah.
husband adopted Rachel, and then my husband and I, currently, we had another little girl together, and so, yeah, so he was my hero. It was just God was just we always say God was up there just moving all the parts, you know?
Right.
We had actually met playing co-ed softball with the church when I had just gone to this church, and so we knew each other that way, but very
Mhm.
not much, but we just knew who we were.
Yeah.
but he just said, "I knew when I saw you, I was gonna marry you." And I'm like, "Okay." And so, anyway, he just, when he heard that I was ill, then he was, I said, "You were going to minister to me." And he said, "Well, I don't know. I think I had other things in mind." Like, he said, "I just loved you from the moment I saw you, and I just like, you're my person." So it was so sweet. But
Yeah.
even in that brokenness, God already had a plan. I mean, I didn't know it, but it
Right.
was beautiful, truly beautiful. Mhm.
Well, I think so
Amazing.
many women who, are in that darkness,
Mhm.
they just
Uh-huh.
a lot of them say, "I don't even know who I am anymore."
Mhm.
So, was there
Yeah.
something specific that helped you start reconnecting with your true self? And I almost feel like maybe that
Yeah.
wasn't even when that happened. I feel like for you, that's
Mhm.
happened more recently.
Yeah, no. Well, and see, this is the thing, it's layers.
Yeah.
It's layers upon this is how God is so beautiful because I just believe that if he downloaded everything on us that needed healing and restoration and redemption, I don't know if we could handle it all. We couldn't handle it. I'm a
Right? Our
counselor,
brains would just
and
explode.
no, and I'm like, we could not handle it all.
Yeah.
So he's so gracious in his love, is that he gives you a peace. He's like, we're gonna work on this. And we don't know how long that's gonna take.
Right.
And then but here's the thing I wanna say, this is so powerful, and I want women to know this. Our healing needs to take place in a safe environment. The reason I could do that first layer of healing, which was years, um, honestly, it was because I was in a safe place
Yeah.
to not be judged, to be loved, to be cared for. And that is so important. If we're in a toxic relationship or a very hostile environment, we are in flight, fright, and freeze. We're in all of that, our nervous system, and we can't heal. And so I was very blessed and fortunate that my husband gave me that space to be able to heal. So you are right. So I did a lot of healing, and then so I was 26 when all this happened, and then probably in my late 30s, I was like, you know what? I'm just feeling really led that I need to, what is the word? Um, Address this with my mom and dad. Like,
Yeah.
this is not I can't hold this anymore. Like, I'd done layers of healing, but God just kept putting on my heart, like, you need to speak truth.
Right. You
Because
have
when
to
you
get it out
speak
in the
truth,
open.
then your healing is going to next level.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know y'all may be thinking, "Oh my gosh, oh, that's huge." Because guess what? You're gonna be really disrupting the family system. I often say that in a family system, it's like a solar system. We all have our little places we are in the solar system, but when one little planet pops out, messes up the whole solar system.
Right.
But my husband was like, "Are you sure you wanna do this?" I'm like, "I've never been more sure of something in my life. Like, I have to speak truth." Because it's just for my healing, and because I also know that in this story, I'm gonna be able to help other women. How can I help other women if I'm not doing the work myself? And so that was a major driver for me.
Yeah.
And so I did. It's a very long story. I did. Didn't go really well. There was some, like, non-speaking for a couple of years, and then God took me to another level. And then he was like, "Just forgive. I'll take care of the rest," because here's the thing about forgiveness. When we don't forgive, the very thing that happened to us, we are literally anchored to,
Yeah.
and it keeps pulling us back in. So when we offer that unmerited forgiveness, like the Lord does for us, it sets us free again at another level.
Right.
And so I went back into the system and I said, "Hey, I forgive. Let's just move on." And we did that for a number of years and restored the relationship. And then here I am in my 50s. And then another layer happens, right? And so, yeah. So it is, but it's also beautiful. It's also
Yeah.
beautiful. It's painful, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think something that's so important,
Mhm.
oftentimes we're told you need to forgive, you need to forgive. And that doesn't mean you forget what happened to you. And the
Right.
forgiveness is not
Mhm.
for the other person. The
Mm-mm.
forgiveness is so that you can heal
Yeah.
the trauma around it, so that
Mhm.
you can move forward in a healthy way and break those generational cycles rather than, oh, I'm going to forgive and forget
Mhm.
this person.
Right. No.
That should
Yeah.
never be what you're asked to do.
Right, and so many women think, "Well, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna forgive." I'm like, "No, no, no." What like, just what you said and what I
Yeah,
experienced, it's like, "No, this literally will set you free at a whole whole 'nother
yeah,
level." And it did. And I
absolutely.
just soared. Like, I'd never felt just like I could breathe so deeply in my
Right,
life when I did that. So there was
yeah,
different levels because when I addressed it, that was a different level.
right,
That felt like I could breathe. And then God was calling me back because I had time to grow continually. He's like, "Now I want you to go back and do this." I'm like, "Alright, okay." So, okay, I'll be obedient.
right,
I
exactly.
know, yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we talk a lot about living in purpose or living on purpose. So
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about what does that look like for you living in purpose versus just going through the motions or the emotions every day, but actually living in your purpose.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful question. For me, um I've always been involved in ministry and lay ministry. I've been women's ministry leaders, directors. I've created mentoring ministries for women. And all of that when I was raising my daughters, and all of that was in my purpose.
Yeah.
But then there came a point where I was like, I really want to help like at a deeper level. And so then God put on my heart to go back to get my master's in clinical mental health. And I'm like, when I go back at this deeper level, then I'm going to be able, to just help in a different capacity. And so I did that. I went back, and got my master's at, let's say I graduated at 52. So you're never too old. Let me say that.
Right.
So I did that. And then after, going through and graduating, then I went back and got my certification in EMDR therapy. So I could work with women, not just in therapy, but also help them truly heal the trauma that's stuck inside. So then I did that. So literally for me, and then I do coaching. So I'm also a coach, and I love that space too. As a counselor, you have certain ethics that you have to follow, and so you're not able to have um, like a relationship outside the counseling room. And so that's a piece where, you can only go so far. And also in the therapy space, you're really helping people for them to grow and facilitate so they come up with the answers, they come up with the solutions. And so you're there doing that. Whereas in coaching, I'm so much more hands on, not just in the session, but through the week. And then I'm offering solutions and strategies and paradigms and all these things. And I can be super creative. And
Yeah.
so I love those two lanes because I see the value in both. And so for me, doing those 2 things is fully living in my purpose and taking what was meant to destroy me and now using it to help other women.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do want to go back to something that you said about your body keeping the score. And that's something that we both have studied quite a bit. And we both have seen the effects of how your body keeps the score of stress
Mhm,
and
mhm,
trauma.
mhm.
So, can
Yeah.
you share with us a little bit what are some of
Mhm.
the things that you learned to regulate your nervous system? And what simple practices would you share for someone that's listening?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking. What's so interesting is it's not complicated. It's really not. Um, it's It's somatic exercises, somatic meaning for your body to regulate, and, we could get so deep into that, but just topically, we have the whole vagus nerve that's connected to everything too. We have the whole mind and gut access, all of that stuff. But, doing the somatic exercises with the breathing, and as a lot of people say, "Oh my gosh, deep breathing, that's just such a joke." It is not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's regulating your nervous system. So
Yeah.
there's various, somatic things that you can do to regulate. And, people will also say, "Oh, well, journaling is so, whatever, like, oh, it's just such a joke." And it's truly
Right.
not because we are getting it out and things start to come out that we never knew were really even there bothering us before. I don't know if you've had that experience journaling and like you write, you're like, whoa, I didn't know I was upset about that or, something.
Right.
So really, and then physical exercise is another huge piece because even just taking a walk is actually creating bilateral movements, which is actually your brain healing. And I know that, when my mom passed away in June, I love lifting weights, but for some reason, lifting weights was not feeling good for me in my
Good.
body. And I just needed to walk. I needed to walk and I needed to move because I knew that I was moving the grief or the trauma, whatever, through my body. And so that movement's really important. So I would just say, certainly the deep breathing, certainly the journaling, the awareness, I'm going to always say God's word and meditating on his truth of who you are and who he is for your healing to bring regulation to the nervous system and also movement. I think that's and you can pick and choose if you wanna swim, go swim or whatever, but,
Right.
something with bilateral movement is really, really important in that
Yeah.
area.
Definitely. Well,
Mhm.
legacy is such a big theme in this season for my podcast. For
Oh,
you, what does it
mhm.
mean to build a life or a business that
Mm.
lasts beyond the here and now?
Ugh, that is a beautiful question, no joke. That is so great, and I've really been in that space lately. And as I have, gone through another layer of healing, it's really interesting. It's different when you have, like, adult children
Yeah.
and they're watching you go through something.
Yeah.
And we talk about legacy, and if we're feeling depressed or we're feeling anxious, and sometimes it's just seasonal, like, something happens, like, my mom passed away, and it brought up all this stuff, and then anyway, it's just and it's like, in this moment how I'm being even transparent with my adult daughters is so important,
Yeah.
and for them to see me go through this and not I think a lot of times as parents, as moms, we try to protect our kids from everything, and we don't want them to see the ugly or the whatever, but, like,
Right.
actually, it's a gift to say, "I'm a human being too, and I'm feeling some depression, or I'm feeling some anxiety, and I'm working through this, and it's painful, and a lot of things are coming up for me, and I'm not gonna be able to be there for you 100% because I have my own things," and learning even showing them, like, how to take care of yourself and saying no to them, which is your kids. That's really hard. Like, "No, I can't babysit the grandkids. No, I can't do the things," or whatever. So I think legacy for me is and in my history, masking and hiding things, I was a boss at it, like,
Right.
that's what I did, okay? And so even at my age now, to be transparent. And literally, like, 3 days ago, I sat my daughter my oldest, and I said, "I just need to let you know what mom's going through. Like, this is what I'm feeling. This is what's coming up for me." And she was just so attentive. She's, "Oh my gosh, mom, like, I didn't know." I said, "Yeah, it just really took me by surprise too." So I think letting your children see you go through things, come out on the other side, how you heal through it is such an important piece of legacy. And then now what I'm building on the other side of all of it and that resiliency and all the things. And now I'm creating a movement. I'm not just healing and sitting here going, "Oh, great, I'm healed, and this is amazing." I'm taking that into the world,
Right.
and now I'm helping others find their comeback.
Yeah.
And so they're seeing the rawness and the realness of what it looks like to heal and go through things, but then they're also seeing the resiliency of taking it and using it for good, because God says He will use all things for his good and for our good, all of them.
Yeah.
So that to me is legacy, to lead that way.
I feel like when other women, rather that be women you're ministering to, your grandchildren, your nieces, the other women that you
Yeah.
are in contact with, when they see
Mhm.
you doing this, it gives them
Mhm.
permission to do it too. There's been
Yeah.
such a push with society to you just ignore it. You're supposed to look pretty and you're supposed to do your job and not rock the boat. Don't cause a disruption. And when
Uh,
you see other women in your life who are like, nope, I'm going to do this and I'm going to heal these things, it gives
yeah.
all those women around them permission to do the same thing.
No, absolutely. And I love this part too, because one of the things that, because you know me, I love my hair, my makeup. I love to dress up. I love some lipstick. Like, I love to dress up. And I think what's so powerful is sometimes women see me this way. And I'm like, girl, you don't even know like what has happened in my life, and then when I tell them or I share my testimony, they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. And so it's actually almost like drop a mic moment, because I think sometimes we think that like we have this picture in our mind of women that go through things and they look a certain way, they dress a certain way. But when, you know, but then also when God has healed us and restored us, there's just a light and a joy that comes from us. And it's like, it's almost very incongruent. Like, this happened to you, but
Yeah.
this is who you are today. Like, how do I get here? You know what I mean?
Right?
So, so yeah, I think it's so powerful. It's
Yeah.
so powerful. So
Yeah.
that's why it is essential that I tell my story. It is essential that women know, like, all this is just fun. Like, I love to do it, but and God is just good. He's just good.
Yes, absolutely. Well, as a leader, someone who is, you have a family, you have a business, you have all of the things going on. How do you
Mhm.
balance making an impact with protecting your own health and wellness?
Mm. Um, hey, this is a I love all these questions, Monica. Honestly, like, I've been on these topics, like, this is so in a line. So, what I have learned, because I'm a very high achieving, driven woman in anything I do, my husband says, "Could you just show up and give 100% and not 150?" And I said, "No, then why even show up?" So it has to be this way. And he's like, "Okay." So what I have learned is that I have got to prioritize my
Yeah,
physical health and my mental health. And so what does that look like for me? How does that translate? Going to bed at a good time for me, like 9 o'clock, I fall out. Getting a good night's sleep, getting up early, having my time with the Lord. I ease into the morning,
yeah,
and then I have that time, and then I either go to the gym and lift, or I go for a walk, and I do my exercise in the morning. And literally, like, any of my coaching clients are clinical, I don't even start work till 10, because I am not going to forsake these things, because in order for this machine to run at the way I need it to the things God has called me to, I have to take care of the vessel. So that is my routine. And then what I used to do that didn't serve me well is I would see clients back to back to back to back to back, and just no I mean, like, no lunch. I wouldn't eat, crazy. And so now when I work, I have a lunch, and whatever, if I want to eat a little bit, sit on if I'm at home working from home, sit on the front porch a little bit in the sun, even take a 15-minute nap, whatever.
right.
And then I shut it off at 5. Like, I don't work past 5. So I have really good boundaries, but I also call them stretchy boundaries, because, like, if I need to flex, that's okay.
Right.
But overall, like, I'm not working nights. I'm not, like, in counseling, I'm not working weekends. Like, these are my hours. And if you can't come here,
Yeah.
then you're probably not my person. And there's a bazillion other, and so that's the other thing. Instead of just taking on everything, also qualifying it. Is this really mine? Because although this could be great working with this person, is it the best thing? So really qualifying what work I take on. That's another piece of it too, I learned.
Yeah. Something that I ask every day. I start every day with an intention. What is my intention today? And
Mhm.
every opportunity that's presented to me, I look at it and I say, is this going to get me closer to my
Oh,
end goal,
sure.
to what my dream
Mhm.
is? Or is this just a distraction that has been put to maybe slow me down or to be,
Yes.
to be a
Mhm.
block for what I'm
Yes.
supposed to be
Yes.
doing?
Yes. In
So
fact, I just did an Instagram post on distractions. And
right?
it was like, oh my gosh, it was just like, what in the world? Like, it's like, person, I can't get anything done because this child needs something and that child needs something. Oh my gosh, now this person needs something and this is broken. I should go fix it. And I'm responsible for everything. Like, oh my heavens. Like, no, no. And so you have to do time blocking. That's another thing, like time blocking at the beginning of the day, the middle, the end, like what does that look like? And what are you working on in this season that has to be your undivided attention? Like for me, it's launching my podcast October 1st, and then it's completing my keynote. And those are my focuses to the end of the year. And because there's so many good things we can do, but I learned that I was just squirreling out on everything and that I wasn't getting anything done. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is it today that I need to do? And I
Yeah.
cleared my desk. I just really did a big declutter. And so every day I'm working on my podcast, of course, my social media, and then working on my keynote. When the Lord downloads something, these are my three things, my three buckets that I'm working on till the end of the year.
Yeah.
There's other ideas, but I can't do it all at once.
Right? And when you try to do
Yeah.
all of those things, you're not
Yeah.
putting enough effort into any one of them for them to get
No,
the
no. Yeah.
results that you want.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you
It's like
definitely
you get mediocre
right?
work,
Yeah, and
and
that
so I don't
that's
wanna do
not what
anything
we're
mediocre.
striving for.
No, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So if you could sit down with your younger self, what piece
Mm,
of advice about resilience, healing, or purpose would you give her?
mm. Don't wear the mask. Don't wear the mask. Be authentic.
Yeah,
Be authentic. Be who you are, and don't let anyone just close you off and tell you to sit down and be quiet. Just take off the mask and be who you were created to be, because that is the answer for everything. That is the secret sauce, it's the anointing. And so it may seem different to people. They may not understand it, but that's okay because God didn't give it to them. He gave it to you. So take off the mask and just be who he created you to be. Because I believe when we're in that space, our work, our ministry, our purpose, we're just in flow. And when people say, well, oh my goodness, you did XYZ, that just looks so easy. And it's like, well, it wasn't hard because, like, he's just put it in us, but we
right.
have to take the mask off
Yeah.
and we have to be authentic.
Yeah, and I think so many women are living with that mask,
Oh my goodness.
they live with the mask of everything's okay, I'm fine, everything's good, and so many times I think,
Mhm, mhm,
it's causing a dissociation in so many women where they have this reality that's presented to them by society of what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to achieve things and how they're supposed to look. And when they can't live up to those expectations, they have this mask that everything's fine, everything's good. I'm okay. And that's not being true to yourself. You
no,
weren't made to, you weren't made to look like this person because you're this person, and you weren't made
mhm,
to
mhm,
succeed the way that this person did because you're supposed to do it like this. And
right, mm,
again, you showing up authentically like that gives the women permission around you to do the same thing.
yes, yes, and we
Yeah,
learn at a very young age, we have coping strategies and mechanisms. And what's really interesting, I think, is that when we're younger and we're in an unhealthy, toxic family, any type of trauma, like I don't believe we sit around going, oh, if I do A, B, C, and D, I'll be safe.
right.
It's like just intrinsically,
Yeah.
we do what we need to do to be safe and to make the things work and to be quiet and to not be noticed and to be a people pleaser and to wear the mask and let me do everything I can to make you okay and I'll suffer instead
Yeah.
silently.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
So we have all these coping strategies, these systems that we've put in place to survive. And that was beautiful at the time because we needed to survive and they served a purpose. But you get to a point where they don't serve a purpose anymore.
Yeah,
And now they're harming you. And so now we have to learn it's the unlearning and the unbecoming that we have to do to be the authentic person and not wear the mask.
yeah,
And I will say, when you do that, let me just say right here, other people's reactions are not your responsibility.
exactly.
Because when you pop out of the solar system, people are not going to like it.
Yeah,
Why are you being selfish? Why are you talking like that? Why are you being bold? Why did you tell me no? Why did you put a boundary up? Why did, uh, so it's almost like you have to begin to train them of the new way you're going to now be engaged with.
yeah,
And they don't like it because they're used to it. And so you will feel uncomfortable and it will be hard. And so what I tell women to do is to create boundaries for themselves with like work and their calling and then their health and their peace. And how will you honor yourself with this boundary? What will how will it feel safe for you? Guarding your work and away from distractions in your calling, and then also responding to other people pulling on you all the time. How do you construct a boundary where you have this answer that says, I'm not going to be able to do this because due to my prior obligations, I will not have the time. I am only available between this time and this time instead of just run all over me.
yeah,
And then we're mad and we're bitter. And so, and here's a little fun tip. So in whatever areas a person thinks they need boundaries. So put what boundaries would feel good to you in Chat GPT and say, this would feel good. I really value XYZ, put it in there and let chat help you create. And like, how would I say I'm not? Because sometimes when people struggle with writing
yeah,
and they're like, well, I don't even know how to create a boundary. Like, I don't even know. And so you can work together to create and formulate those. So I literally have 10 boundary statements I say every morning that I remind myself that I'm not going to just be floating through the wind and like, I'm going to be very grounded. And when people reach out to me, I'm not going to respond right away.
yeah.
I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna pray about it. I'm gonna think about my boundaries, think about my week, and then I'll respond.
Right.
And that feels better. I think in our automatic life and
Oh,
world
yeah,
that we think just because I used to tell my youngest daughter, just because somebody texts you doesn't mean you have to get back with them like right now, And so
exactly.
let them
Yes.
sit and marinate and see. And when we're in that, survival mode, we respond, we respond, we respond. So it's untraining yourself to say, hey, let me think about it. And I get to choose how I respond and when I respond. And that's actually a step of power. But it's not automatic because you've been trained another way. It's muscle memory. So you have to unlearn it.
Yeah,
I often tell ladies, like, okay, so you think of a spoke, I don't, spokes in a wheel. And I'm always like, you think of a stick and you stick it into that wheel and it stops. So we have to disrupt that automatic response.
yeah,
And so that's what I practice now, and that's what I teach. So they're like, "Well, it's just so I'm like, "Yeah, I know, because 'cause you've done it forever." So, and then we work together figuring out what is gonna be your disruptor.
yeah,
What's your disruptor? What are you gonna do to remind yourself to pause? So I think that's a healthy strategy too when you are finally allowing yourself to be who you
yeah,
truly are.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this has been such a rich conversation, and it means so much to me personally to have you here. And I know my listeners are
Um,
walking away with hope and wisdom and practical tools that they can use right now. But before we close, I want to know what's lighting you up right now. Where can people find you? What are you doing?
Yes, thank you, Monica. Well, I am actually due to there's a public announcement due to my next level of healing. I am changing all of my branding, and so I'm super excited that my my coaching, my speaking, podcasting, everything is going to be now called and dangerous, and that sounds a little out there, but all women are called and have a purpose. It might be buried a little bit right now under some things that need to be healed and restored and redeemed. So I want to help women find their calling. And then we need to be dangerous. And what do I mean by that? It means that when we truly know who we are in Christ and we truly know what we already have, we can become dangerous to the darkness and in a beautiful way. So the danger part is really a beautiful thing. It's evolving, and it's, an empowerment, and it's bold, and it's fire, and so I am so excited to be rebranding everything, and then I'm launching my podcast October 1st, and it's gonna be a real space where we are gonna be talking about trauma bonds and, shattering the lies and breaking the chains, and we're gonna be real, and we're gonna be honest, and, it's gonna be a format too where, a biblical solution will be provided to anything you're going through. So it's going to be kingdom work, a kingdom atmosphere, but it's going to be fire. And so October 1st, that's coming. And then I'm just, my heart is to speak and to share my message with many women. And so I'm just, curating my keynote. And that's whenever God sees fit to open that door. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Perfect. Well, I already have it on my calendar to
I know.
jump
Yeah.
on October 1st so that I can hear your podcast. I've been anxiously anticipating it coming out. So
You're
I'm
so sweet. I know, and I had a big plot twist in the middle, and I'm like, "Wait a minute." But see, that's what happens, like, you're on your way, and sometimes it's just I wanna encourage women, lastly, pay attention to those that that intuition also that you have or and the Holy Spirit, like I told you before we jumped on, like, something was not resonating with me, like, I was like, "I'm not even interested in my own stuff, like, this is not a good problem to have," and then, a lot of things happened, I had to do some more healing, and then God dropped it in my heart, and now I just pop up out of bed going, "Oh my gosh, that's what I'm gonna do here." He's just giving it to me, and it's so fun to create in this space, so but thank you for having me, Monica, I love you, and I love this space for sure.
absolutely. It's always a pleasure to be able to spend time with you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Unshakable Belief. I hope today's episode reminded you that healing is possible, growth is available, and you are made for more. If you're ready to start your own transformation journey, my next round of reset begins January 2026. It's a 6-week group coaching program designed to help you reset your body, rewire your mind, and rise in purpose. Because lasting change starts from the inside out. You can learn more on my website. I'm also thrilled to share that my solo book, The Lie is Loud, releases in February. It's a deeply personal story of healing, faith, and finding your voice again after silence. I can't wait for you to read it. Stay tuned for the book launch and pre order details coming soon. Now, if this episode encouraged you, please take a moment to rate, review, and share Unshakable Belief with someone who needs it today. Your support helps this message reach more people who are ready to rise. Until next time, breathe deep, stand tall, and remember you were made for more. Live on purpose and purpose.